What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Movie Emporium's movie review of On the Count of Three, the news film and directorial debut of Jerrod Carmichael. Now, before we begin, if you like this video, awesome! Hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome! Hit that like button as well as comment below on any video that you watch, including this one. So, directed and starring Jerrod Carmichael, who of course plays Val, he and of course Christopher Abbott, who plays Kevin, are two really good friends with the same particular issue. They're depressed, they feel like they're at their end of the rope. Of course, Kevin is in a psychiatric ward, which of course Val breaks him out of, and they decide that by the end of the day, they're going to commit suicide by killing each other. A very dark story if you think about it. But in the process, they decide they're going to do kind of everything they did when they were kids. They were going to, kind of live the day out and then eventually do what they, like I just said, what they're going to do. Well, as we know in these types of stories, things don't go according to plan. There are kind of existential crisis things brought up. And the idea is basically about two individuals who want to commit to one thing but may not go as easy as they think. And as well, on top of everything, this is a very dark comedy, so some mischief starts to happen in this movie when it comes to the storytelling aspects. So as you can see, the synopsis alone makes this movie very difficult when it comes to recommending to people, because it is a dark comedy. It is a satirical look at suicide, which is not what you would call the most uplifting movies that represent. But it's a movie that premiered at Sundance in 2021. It was one that I regret never being able to watch in Sundance when I actually was watching films at that Sundance Film Festival. And again, it garnered critical acclaim. It garnered a lot of great reviews. And it just was a movie that seemed like it was never going to release on VOD or in theaters. I really wanted to see it. I've been waiting now a year and a half to watch this movie. And I didn't even flinch when I decided to buy this movie when it came out finally on Vudu and iTunes and stuff like that, because I felt like this was going to be a movie that I was going to really enjoy, that I was going to get something out of. But what I didn't expect is to not only really kind of love this movie, but really find some poignancy when it comes to the nature of these human psychology and the things you go through and how dark and deep things get and the struggles that you go through in that type of scenario. Because when it comes to movies like this, and I really did love this movie, I think it's actually fantastic when it comes to just its representation, is everybody at some point in their life goes through this really dark portion in their existence. They have these problems. They feel like they can't get out of it. There are some points even today where I just feel like I'm struggling to breathe, and you just kind of want to let it go. And what this movie just represents is the people that are struggling don't seem to get the help they need, and when they do get the help they need, it's so broken and so unhinged that it just doesn't work. Like a character like Kevin, who tries to commit suicide by taking pills, he ends up in a psychiatric ward, and the people in the psychiatric ward just don't seem to care about his mindset and his ideas and logic. He had a psychiatrist who was of course played by Henry Winkler in this movie, who just did nothing for him, and then he meets there's this guy that comes up that was part of he was bullied by, that just makes jokes about the bullying that he put him through. It's just no wonder why these characters are so at the wit's end of their life, because there's just the nature of the world around them, and it's so horrifying to watch when you think about it. But it's so satirical in its nature, because some of the stuff they're doing in this movie is really true to life. And when it comes to telling comedy, especially, I think if I looked at it right, Jerrod Carmichael actually was a stand-up comedian. The things that they tell when they do their jokes are actually kind of depressing if you think about it, but there's some kind of humor in the way they actually present it that it makes it actually kind of interesting, and you start laughing because it's so dark and depressing, but you can kind of relate to it in a lot of aspects. And that's what this movie does. It allows you to relate to these characters who are so down and out when it comes to their life, that it makes you realize that sometimes there are outs and sometimes there are exits that will allow you to push forward, and you start to see that as these characters move forward throughout this movie. And that's why I really enjoyed what was going on. I think Christopher Abbott and Jerrod Carmichael are absolutely fantastic in this movie. They represent a subset of a world that just feels very downtrodden and very pushed out in the world, and it's just a very scary thing to watch. But this movie just represents it very well, and it does go to a conclusion that is hard to watch, but it does definitely make it worthwhile watching. And I really do recommend this if you want to watch and kind of get something really interesting and really something well presented when it comes to the take of a movie. And on top of everything, this is Jerrod Carmichael's directorial debut, and he absolutely knocks it out of the park. His cinematography, which is really low budget, his music that he picks, I'm assuming they added songs when they were bought by Orion and Annapurna Pictures and stuff like that. He just has a grasp on this nature of trying to make this film kind of balanced when it comes to the dark satirical comedy as well as the hard-hitting drama that this film represents, because it balances it so well that you're so worried that the pieces are going to start falling off the wrong way, but it never falls off that balance. And I found that really fascinating, really just kind of interesting. It really was, and I really give him and Christopher Abbott and the rest of the cast a lot of credit because they're working in a really dark material type movie. And on top of that, we got Tiffany Haddish that pops up in here, as well as JB Smoove. And even though they're only in it for a few minutes, they actually do a nice job of just settling, the Jerrod Carmichael Lavell character and stuff like that. So I do really enjoy this movie. It is a very difficult movie to watch, but it has some very funny moments. It has some heartwarming moments, but it is a movie about a very hard and difficult subject, which is about suicide. And I give him a lot of credit for taking that chance and actually deliver. So overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Just go in with the warning that it is a very dark movie, but it is a movie that has a lot of great messages. And actually, I feel like will help a lot of people who are dealing with these types of situations, maybe kind of rethink things and stuff like that. So, anyways, with that said, that'll do it. That'll be my take on the count of 3. Thank you so much for watching. Comments below if you've seen this movie. What do you think of it overall? Are you interested in seeing this movie? Like I said, it is on VOD. I think it is in some theaters, but I don't know where. But it's like $12.99 or like $6.99 to rental. So if you have any interest, definitely check it out. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.